lot of ideas. So what advice, this is the last question, and we will wrap up after these questions. The question is, what advice would you like to give to the next generation female who are at home, like in a very early age, or the youth that we specifically say that what they should do, what are the things that you learn which you want to impart and transfer to them. So the sequence is the same. I'll start with the Khulood, then I will move to Sana, and then Doctor, and then Samantha and Asma.
Yes. First of all, any leader, in my opinion, should have a vision, because I believe the vision is the which leads the leader, and vision also set the targets, and vision charge others and make them relate to you and to your leadership. So in order to find your vision, you can also stay around successful leaders and mentors, so who can really help you know what you really want. So this is the first thing, that you should have a vision. You should focus on your strengths, because women, unfortunately, systemically tends to undermine their skills and abilities, and they tend to attribute their success to other factors than themselves. So do not underestimate your abilities, and rather than focusing on what you cannot do, you should focus on what you are great at. Women, for instance, are naturally great verbal communicators. They have high emotional intelligence, and they are holistic problem solvers. I believe every woman with a home and kids can relate how women are holistic problem solvers. So third, there is the very important point, is building relationships. A leader should build relationships, and leadership should be about empowering others. To be a true leader, you should invest in others and motivate them, influence them to reach their next step and touch their lives. So this is a very important thing for anyone who wants to become a leader. You should also make growing your knowledge and experience a daily task. You should work on continuous improvement for your knowledge and experience. Even, for instance, you have a meeting and you don't feel it's important, you should go with an open mind to this meeting. There is always something worth to take away with you. Lastly, I would say, in order to pursue all your dreams, you need to start actively pursuing. This is a quote that I heard and I really like, that you should actively pursue everything that scares you. So you should go out of your comfort zone. You should pursue everything that you feel you cannot do and you want to do. Fail. You can't fail. You can turn every mistake to stepping stones for your success, for your future. So this is what I can advise future leaders, ambitious girls that want really to make a difference.
That's great. That's great. I think that you gave a lot of motivation to the youth. And let's move to the Zena and take what advices she has for the next generation.
I think I would tell young girls and boys as well about the importance of upskilling. Learn very, very solid skills, writing, researching, designing, whatever it is, make it very, very tangible, because we are going to be moving more towards the gig economy. I think this is already starting to happen in many quarters. And this is from our experience. A lot of our clients are starting to outsource, and outsource not just locally and globally. And this has been also facilitated by remote working and some of the trends that we've seen over the emergence of the COVID period. So my advice would be really learn, upskill, have the kind of skills that can be packaged into solutions and that can be sold, in different places. The most, and that's the key, is it has to be something that can be maybe sold digitally or, something in consulting or whatever it is, but it has to be something that is marketable and something that is in demand.
I want to ask another on behalf of youth, because youth also have sent some questions, that what challenges you feel that the youth have? Are they getting their role models? What kind of role models they are? And what are the issues they get it when they talk to their parents, where they say there is a generation gap or similar kind of issues you might heard within the families, out of the families, where a kid is not compliance with the parents' strategies and advices. So how you see this scenario?
I think we should start listening to young people more. The world is changing a lot. There are new trends, and they are driven actually by younger people. What I used to do when in Brand Moxie and Tamakkan is I used to always bring in a lot of young people, and we actually learned a lot from them as well in terms of social media, in terms of, some of the platforms that are in use, some of the marketing opportunities. A very quick example is TikTok. Marketers haven't been using TikTok, but now it's just such a compelling proposition. We all know about, Facebook, the opportunities there because of the amazing data they have on everyone, which is a double-edged sword. However, I think with young people now are, they're natives, digital natives, and they are in a good position to innovate and to start looking at new ways of solving problems. The one thing that I think we should give them is more traction. We should give them more funding, more opportunities, and start engaging them in a way that enables them to collaborate with older people. So I think the big opportunity is to bring in young people, have them work with much older people, bring in the experience of older people, and bring in women. So the whole idea is to bring in, create diversity, bring in people from different levels, different streams, different experience zones as well, and try to create new ideas and to create new momentum for new products and solutions. So I think it's a new economy, Musa. I think it's a new economy, and I think it can be defined by young people.
So you are on a position that you want to trust the youth, and you want to equip them with the available resources so they can deliver in terms of whatever they want to do, but under the guidance of the successful parents.
I think that is actually an amazing solution. Like, we've seen in the UAE, for example, we've seen very young people rise to leadership roles. I think the best solution is to have them come in with new ideas, new inspiration, but also have advisors on their side, people who have experience, who have perspectives, and who also know about best practices and have a wider vista on, on the different things that are being decided. Exactly. So bring in young talent, new ideas, but bring in also experience and, some of the subtleties of the specialties that are needed for the different things.
That's great. That's great. That's an amazing advice, as usual. So I will move to Doctor, and I will add, Doctor, before you speak something, that what you think, what are the challenges of the teenagers and the youth, which they should not do and which they should do, and then your advice. I think your voice is not. Now it's okay. Now it's okay. Yeah.
Sorry. I think the youth should find a mentor and take advice in their given field. Just ask, for example, during the pandemic, I did an online course, a Harvard Business School course, which I wanted to diversify my skill set, which was an amazing course to do. And then when I finished it, I thought about getting a mentor. So I had a conference call, a business conference call. And at the end of the call, I asked this individual if he would mind being my mentor. And he was really very, very humble and said he would be delighted. So I would just say reach out and find a mentor, read as much as you can, and just try to think about your career path. Nowadays, the career is not 40 years doing the same job. We're very, very diversified. We change our jobs very frequently nowadays, but you have or should be working towards having a unique talent. Your intellectual property is your own. So work on, championing your IP. That's the advice I would give to the youth. But going back to the original question of what advice I would give to the next generation of female leaders could also be addressed to the next generation of male leaders, because both are agents for change. I would say that don't settle, learn not to settle, and always challenge authority. If you believe you deserve a pay rise, speak with a line manager. If you believe you were passed over for promotion, speak up. Always try to challenge. I would say, as I touched on earlier, just read. Read absolutely anything you can get your hands on, even if it's a magazine, a trade mag, a novel, poetry. Just keep reading. In my family, we read every single day. I raise my children to read every single day. We're not a screen time family, we are a reading family. So it's very, very important that the next generation understand the inherent importance of reading. It's very, very important. I would also say, be on top of your finances. If you're unsure about your pensions, about your rights, about your inheritance, about succession planning, speak with the local accountants. You can find one very, very cheaply, tier 3, tier 4, but get on top of your finances, because one day you could be cornered and you would need financial help. It's very, very important. I also champion studying. Just try to, always try to increase your skill set, as was touched on earlier. Just try to diversify your skill offering. Learn for the sake of learning, but also for the sake of giving. That could be helping local charities. That could be helping local refugees in your country. Just always try to study, to improve yourself, but to give to your local community. It's so important. As I mentioned earlier, champion your intellectual property. You have, or you will find that you have a unique talent, unique to you. So champion it, work on it, and showcase it. Also, I would highly recommend female leaders in the next generation to diversify your revenue stream. Do not rely on one salary, because in the blink of an eye, you're out the door. Always diversify your revenue stream. We do so much online now. If you have an idea, try to monetize it. Don't rely on a salary. We are entering a global recession and there are millions losing their jobs. And if you diversify your revenue stream early on, you will have a chance to make it. Also, I will say, take legal advice. Whenever you're unsure, pay a few $100s and take legal advice. It could be a contract for a new startup. It could be signing an agreement to an entrepreneurship. Whatever it takes, just take legal advice. It could help you in the long run. And then finally, my advice to the next generation is make time for your health and make time for yourself. Be you, a busy mother, a busy wife, helping your parents, helping your grandparents. We are burdened at both ends of the spectrum, raising our children and supporting our families. Give time to yourself. That's my main advice.
Oh, that's great. What I can conclude from all this discussion is that it's a very small set of 4 ladies, but 4 had different words but the same objective. just now Khulood said that me time. So you also have me time, and Asma also has me time. And as you said, read, read, read. What I know is Khulood is already a qualified girl. Then recently she's finishing her SEMA exams. So she is reading, reading. Asma, I know, chartered accountant from Pakistan. She finished chartered accountancy from England and Wales. Now she's looking for other further study, study, and study. So I can see that the success symptoms are common. The ways the cloth and the skin can be different, but the mindset of the successful person is the same. So it's quite a very interesting input for this question. So I will move towards Samantha. Samantha, please, can you give some advice to the next generation female?
Of female leaders is that like women, like all others, have the right to leadership. That is what we should bear in mind. It's not like they are favoring you. You have a right. Just like the male leader has a right to leadership, the female too has a right to leadership. So here, the difference will be that you, the woman, the female leader, should plan strategically. You should have a strategic plan for your nation. Such that even if your term ends, there should be continuity. Because back in Africa, we have instances where a leader ends his or her term, and all the projects that he started, the railway, the construction, ends. And the new government comes in and wants to start fresh. We don't see that in the UAE because of the system of government, but back in Africa, it's very good. So I would urge leaders to try and draw strategic plans for their nations in order that there will always be continuity that will help in the development of their nations. And they should also be self-confident. They should be objective and principled. If it is A for one, it should be B for the other person. There shouldn't be any discrimination or unfairness, because you see, Africa is made up of many ethnic groups and tribes. The least thing that you do, the least mistake that you make in taking decision is going to create a lot of conflicts, and there will be civil unrest. So I would advise the next generation of female leaders to be principled, objective, be fair, and then also respect the minority groupings, tribes, because many of these minority tribes back in Africa haven't had the opportunity to education early enough. So you realize that the majority tribes have many more leaders in the government, but you have to include them because they are also representing a group of people. And if that is done, there is trust that will be built between you and the whole nation. Also, I would advise them to exhibit competencies. You know, as a leader, you have to prove that you are competent. Whatever decisions you are taking with your cabinet, think through it. Like the previous speaker said, take legal advice sometimes before you take final decisions. And you have to be effective and efficient in implementation of your policies. This goes to all your ministers and your government appointees. Then I've also realized what will help most, particularly in our situation as a developing nation, is that you have to digitize your economy by the use of artificial intelligence. It helps a lot. Now we've realized that back in Ghana, many things are done with the internet. Many things are done on IT, and it has helped. For example, you just sit back in your home and you are able to renew your health insurance. You sit back in your home, you are able to renew your license. At the port, you go and it is paperless. So that helps a lot in the development of a nation. And then finally, what I advise the next generation of female leaders is to accept diplomacy. diplomacy worldwide is a must. Because without diplomacy, in fact, I'm just imagining how the world would be. My short stay here in the UAE has taught me that every country in this world should be involved in diplomacy. So countries have good relations, you meet, you discuss best practices, you work towards, peace worldwide, you work toward, like this pandemic that has come. Without diplomacy, it would have been a different issue altogether, because countries had to close their borders, countries had to do this, countries had to do that. But with respect to one another, you understand that it is the situation that demanded it, and you were not just doing it out of the blue. So this is the little advice I have for
That's amazing. I think this, my advice to your youth is they should follow Samantha, because at this time, maybe 9:30 in UAE, she's sitting in her office and she is talking to us. And this shows her passion, devotion, and to the work and to the people. And you're right that technology can change. And this is what all of us, we believe that I pray to God sometimes that they should give them Muhammad bin Zayed to all the nation. So they get a person who has a vision and a capacity to apply, So
exactly.
solve the issue for all, right? So thank you very much. It's a very lovely discussions. So let's move to our last question and the last participant, that what advices she has for the next generation of people of Pakistan, the female, what you tell them.
A lot has already been said, and those are all important points. I will just add a couple more. I think it's not just for, the responsibility not just lies on the shoulders of young females to come forward and start acting like leaders. I think there is a big responsibility lying on the earlier generation to actually try and pass on the expertise that they have received. World has transitioned into something else, and it is still, going to be changed into something that perhaps we don't even know. We, as was indicated, that we are into an economic global recession. I think there is a need to develop low-cost models which could survive for a long time and generate revenue streams and enable and empower everyone, not just females. So mentorship by the earlier generation to pass on the expertise which they carried, which is so valuable and which is perhaps cannot be just found in the book, needs to be carried to the younger generation. So it's not just younger generation. For instance, they are listening to us and they are listening to the success stories. They should not finish at this point, and they should reach out to individuals to have an individual point of view on matters that they are facing in their lives. Similarly, people who are trying to share their experience as role models should also further reach out to individuals in their community to address the more specific questions, or I would say situations, and how they would have been dealing with if they had been facing that situation. So it has to be a handshake, it has to be a brainstorm, or I would say, kind of an innovative environment between the earlier generation and the younger generation. And I would, with the benefit of this platform, I would suggest that you've actually created a platform to discuss and portray role models and women leadership. You can actually create, live sessions between young generation and the female leaders to interchange ideas regarding specific moments, specific situations, which cannot be generalized and derived from the results of what we are discussing here. Secondly, low-cost models are very important in today's world. So as much as the investment is low, the risk would be lower, and in case of failure, it is bearable, and failure should not be stopped at that point of time. It should be transitioned into something else. Failures always teach us what successes can never teach us. So I think this is something that I would like to add from my side.
That's great. That's great. So I think let me have a closing remarks from my panelists. So one by one, you can give your closing remarks, and then we will wrap up. Starting same sequence, Sana, Sarah, and onwards.
Yes. Would you like me to?
Closing remarks, like let's wrap up.
Yeah. I'm just. I would like to say that I'm very happy to have all of you here today and myself, because this is actually the start for mentoring and supporting youth or future leaders, and tackling these issues which are really high currently, and we addressed a lot of them. And this was a lovely session, and I was very happy to see all of you. And I wish, and we will have a lot of similar sessions in future. And Asma's suggestion is pretty good. We can have a session for youth and mentors, and this will give a lot of insight for other youth to address.
That's great. I have a lot of Saudi youth women. The youth, they are really excited to have a show with me. So I will plan a new one very soon, and I will invite you again. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Let's move to Sana, please.
What I would say is just for young women and older women as well, this is a great time to set up your business. Think about e-commerce. It's the great equalizer. The world is getting bigger, but it's also opportunities are getting bigger because the world is getting smaller. So really getting into technology and upskill and really get into the game.
That's great. I think this is $1 million advice, and I want to thank you very much for this. And I'm looking forward to have you more and more in the next sittings. Yes, Doctor.
Thank you so much. I wish to thank you, Barclay Middle East, for having me today, and I wish to thank my esteemed panelists. I've loved your narrative. Very, very important, very valid points. Thank you so much. I'm honoured to be amongst you today. And I just reiterate my humble advice, which is upskill, read as much as possible, look into apprenticeships, challenge authority, know your rights and know your finances, take legal advice, and give to the community. If you are in a position to, mentor. If you are not, then become a mentee. It's so important to take knowledge when knowledge is available. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you very much for being here, and I'm looking forward to have you more and more.
Thank you.
Yes, Samantha. Your closing remarks.
Opportunity to thank Berkeley Middle East very well, particularly Dr. Musa, for this wonderful program. In fact, it has been very, very, very insightful. And I wish to tell my fellow women to see men as allies. They should be allies, supporting one another. And they should try to get the right education that will make them confident, proactive, and be focused in whatever job they find themselves.
That's great. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to have you more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Asma, your closing remarks, please.
Thank you very much for giving an opportunity. I would just say balance for better and equal for each are two slogans that should be carried out in every aspect of life. And collaboration is the key. So this is the whole thing. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you very much for being here, and looking forward to see you in our next shows.
Sure.
Yes, guys, now after a very lovely discussion with these great, successful women in the globe, they were from different part of the world who had experience to live in UAE and still living in touch with them.